Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of The Rise, our Monty Cook Games Gods of the Fall campaign, here for our patrons. Our Swedish friends in Swedeland hate you. They just want you to know. They opened the episode by dropping a bar full of corruption on you guys. So if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is by joining us over on Patreon. Link for that down below. While you're down there, head on over to our Discord, be a part of the community and a part of the conversation. And as always, you'll see on the bottom right-hand corner that corruption bar. That bar serves two purposes. Is one, when that bar fills, I get to rain corruption on these faces here, and two, every single dollar that goes into that goes into making us a awesome production and doing all kinds of cool things, and also keeping my lights on. So if you want to help, that's a great way too. That being said, previously on The Rise. Finding landfall and aided by Dreschen, our budding godlings headed east, back towards Corso, hoping to find salvation in the hands of the Auroch chapter house. What they found instead was another of their kind, one who had remained hidden from the gaze of Nulumriel, and had managed to train and hone his powers. This Chronotus imparted wisdom and warnings to the small group and offered them safe haven for the night, but no longer. In the morning, they must away on their journey. You guys each wake up. Seydlitz, you are outside against the wall of the chapter house, sort of slumped down, head on your knees. Mina, you find yourself awoken by the coo and cry of a baby as you are slumped down against the door, the inner door of the bed chamber in a protective stance, your spear slung across your lap. And Korax, much the same, you find yourself slumped down in a radiating light pool. You are in a room that has like a well in the center, but where the hole in the well would be, there's a golden bowl sort of reflecting the light from above, kind of cascading into the room. Across your lap is the open book that you were reading the night prior. We'll start with Korax. Korax, you had a dream, a vision of an orb in darkness turning towards you and following you wherever you went. You awake. What are you doing?
As Korax wakes up, he would reach into his cloak, looking through his book and page through to, I'm assuming, the prophecy of liberation, and having his thoughts that happened at the end of the last episode around how these are the headings of prophecies that are unfulfilled, that are still to be written. He would write in the book that the eye of Nod is turned away from them, and that this band of travelers can seek refuge elsewhere. Close his book and go running through to try and find Mina and Seydlitz. Tell them it is time to get the hell out of here.
You write this underneath the prophecy of liberation?
Correct.
Okay. You write that the eye of Nod has turned away, and that these... What do you write?
The eye of, well, this band of happy travelers. But he's basically writing that the eye of Nod is turned to the reconciliators and away from our band of happy travelers. Full stop.
Interesting.
Gets up and runs out. His thoughts is it's like the never-ending story. What you write in the book's going to happen.
Okay. You make your way down the hallway. You take a left and you find yourself in another hallway with a closed door. This door, you know that Mina is behind. This is the room that Dreschen, Sephany, and Arua are in. And as you go to open the door, Mina, we cut back to you. You had a similar concerning dream. A dream of a warm light spilling over you, of these vines sort of reaching out and wrapping you in warmth, and then something happening, and all of the vines are dying, turning to ash, and falling around you. You awake with a kind of start to hear that comforting coo of a baby, and you feel the wood of the shaft of your spear across your lap. What are you doing?
Mina would have fallen asleep, and he'd been fiddling with something that needed repairs from a sewing point of view. And when he wakes up, he sees that, and in his other hand is a spear. He scrunches up the bit of sewing and tosses it to the side. He'll stand up, walk over to the baby, and as it's cooing there, and actually kneel down in front of it on one knee. And that's probably when Korax comes in.
What are you doing when you are knelt down on one knee?
Just head down, and in his mind, he's vowing to protect the child.
Okay. Korax, your hand grasps to the metal of the handle, and you disengage the clasp as you open this door into a dark room, as you would expect, met with the sounds of snores, a baby cooing, and right in front of you, you see Mina is knelt on one knee, spear aloft in one hand, head kind of down, in what you would assume to be some kind of prayer stance, perhaps? What do you say as you open the door?
Korax would stop dead in the doorway, a bit confused, looking around, and then slowly just walk up to Mina and place a hand on his shoulder.
Okay.
Still out of breath from running, and just wait for Mina to respond.
Floor is yours.
Mina looks at Korax and says, it's time to stop playing games. We've got to get this child to safety.
The King of Nod is watching us. We need to go. This place is no longer safe. It was a dream, and all I can say is it felt like we're in trouble here. Not necessarily here, but we're in trouble regardless. But by staying here, we put these people in danger.
Yeah, I think we're being manipulated, and we need to take our own path. I agree. It's time to leave.
I mean, manipulated by who?
By people that we trust and are trusting. I don't think all this coincidence can have been chance, and I don't think it's fate.
Fate is a powerful thing, if you believe in such things.
So are arseholes who are trying to manipulate you to your own ends.
That is true. And we know they exist. For certain.
And he'll kind of side-eye Korax and go, yes. I think they do.
They had big armor and they try to kill you.
They're not the ones you need to worry about. It's the ones without armor that manipulate you that you have to worry about. I can deal with big armor.
I can deal with people, but not big armor.
Then it sounds like it's time for us to go. Find the old man and beat feet.
He might be drunk.
I kind of prefer him when he's drunk. He's a bit less grumpy. Now, if he's got a hangover, then we're in trouble.
That is true.
Let's say he stayed sober last night.
And as
No
you guys
chance.
ruminate on the coherent status of Seydlitz, the camera sort of backs its way through the courtyard of this chapter house and towards the front of the building, where Seydlitz, you are slumped against the wall, bottle stowed, and your kind of head tilted down, and you feel the gentle like shake on your shoulder. From someone waking you up. You also had a strange dream the night before. A dream of... the last thing you remember is a comet streaking across the sky, and you watching as the moon above cracked open into the form of an eye, in which you saw your home burning around you. and you feel this gentle kind of like rousing shake on the shoulder. How do you respond?
Who's that?
It is I. You were asleep outside, and you look up and you see that it is one of the many martial artists that you had met before, and he offers you his other hand as like a means to like help pick you up. There is food inside. You
Thanks.
are still our guests, after all.
Thank you. As he takes it and he starts lifting, he just gives out, ah, that was not a good place to fall asleep.
No, it was not.
Great.
And he sort of grabs you by the hand, like interlocking thumbs, and pulls you up to your feet. Are you ill?
No, just had a little too much last night. Can you point me towards like a restroom?
Yes, this way. And he leads you in through the courtyard, through like what it makes for like the dining area, and down a similar hallway. And as you are led by this man down the hallway, you see Mina and Korax are coming together out of a room. You guys all see each other in the hallway. Groggy Seydlitz seems to be sober, and he is being led by one of the martial artists. If you recall, when you took the path off of the cafeteria, it went straight ahead to the bowl room, and then it went off to the right to where the bedrooms were, and there was one door that you guys never went through. As you get there, you, Korax and Mina, you see the man motion towards the door, and Seydlitz, you're able to open it and see that you have entered a privy of sorts. You all see Seydlitz enter this privy.
As he, before he opens the door, he looks back, he's like, do you have a small knife I could borrow?
We do not have weapons here. I could retrieve one from the kitchen if you'd like.
Something, and he points at his ear, something to trim this down, as he points at his beard.
Mina and Korax, you all hear this if you have anything that you would offer to him.
Mina will have some shears or something like that he uses for. He said, will these do?
Thanks, Mina, that'll work.
Okay. You head into the bathroom. The door closes behind you. I assume several minutes go by as you shear your face.
He doesn't completely share. He's get like that. He basically goes from this big scratchy beard to like a small kind of like close shave, where you can still see it, but it looks like he's just gotten like 3-4 years younger.
Okay. Yeah, so you see the two of you wait a minute or so in quiet contemplation as he opens the door and you see a slightly younger looking Seydlitz, without his grumpy old man beard. What are you guys doing?
Mina will look at Seydlitz and say, you still look old. We've got to get going.
Wow, thanks for my self-confidence.
Yeah.
Are
I don't
you
think
guys...
that...
Oh, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think just shaving is going to do much for anyone's appearance at the moment. I think we need to get out of here.
He tosses the shears back at Mina without warning, seeing if he can catch him.
Mina, those are your shears. You know those. I'm sure you kind of just grab them closed out of the air. Where are you guys heading?
I think if there's breakfast on the table, or they're at least sitting down for breakfast, Mina will sit down where they were sitting the previous night.
Yeah, as you guys make your way to like leave, you notice that there are people sort of beginning to congregate out of the. You hear the other doors of the other rooms opening up, and people begin to head towards the dining hall, and they all again begin to sit in that same. They all move in that weird sameness, and they all stand by the door. They all stand by the seats until every single one of them is in the room. And you notice that there are the handful of seats in that one corner that was reserved for you. After you watch this kind of procession happen, you hear behind you, "Are we leaving?" And Dreshen stands behind you with Stephanie, who has like swaddled the baby, and you can hear the noises, the morning baby noises, which I am now all too familiar with. It's been a hell of a month, guys. Hey, are we leaving?
Yes, old man. Grab some breakfast, and as soon as you and Stephanie are ready, we need to get going.
Well, we're ready now. We don't have anything but the clothes on our backs. But a good meal would do us well. And he sort of like nods to you, and like he knows that you were there in the room, and sort of like gives you like a thank you kind of pat on the shoulder, and heads towards the corner where you guys had supped the night before. Do you guys also head out there?
Korax is looking for the gentleman that we spoke to the night before.
Yeah.
Captain Floaty Pants, the guy who was flying.
He is not there. He is not in the dining hall. You can see that the strange stool that he was sitting on is there, and you can see that the double doors that he came out of are closed. You can assume maybe he's in there. As far as you recall, that seemed to be like his chamber, his quarters, if you will.
Is that the room he took us into?
Correct. You also remember that he did not join the dinner until it was almost over.
Korax would look to Mina and to Seydlitz. We need to warn them. I'm going to go see if I can find our host. I can't remember his name. Did he tell us his name?
I don't know that he did actually tell you his name. I also don't know that you guys asked.
I don't think we asked.
But his name is Chronotus.
Yes, we did not ask that.
Yeah.
That is true. Then he would say, our host, I'm going to see if I can find him while everyone else can eat and get ready for the journey. And he would make his way towards those doors.
As you make your way across, Seydlitz, this is the first you're hearing of a need to warn someone of anything. As Korax says this and sort of walks away, you are left there in your groggy morning state, with the "we need to warn them" sort of hanging in the air.
Hey, Mina, what's with the sense of urgency?
I think Korax had a dream or something.
Dream?
But yeah, I think the longer we stay here, the more danger we're in. So I agree with him.
He had a
It's time to
dream.
go.
What did he see?
He didn't mention it to me. He just said that it's time to go, and I'm of the same mind. So
Yeah, I'm ready to get out of here too. I got a place to be. Did you have a dream? Because I had one.
I had a dream as well, but it didn't make any sense. Just all symbolic shit, just like this place we're in now.
Fucking rude.
Let's hope it doesn't mean anything in the long run, but rather not find out, right?
I think it just means that we've been. There's too many people trying to guide us into dangerous territory.
So as you guys make your way over to the dinner table, Korax, you are trying to enter that room?
Yep, he is going to go and place his hands on any door handles, if there are some, and try and open the doors.
Perfect. You do, yeah. You place your hands on the door handles, and sure enough, they give way.
He would look back to make sure that none of the monks, for lack of a better word, are sort of going to stop him.
No one seems to be moving in your direction.
And he would enter the room.
Okay. You are met with the same kind of sight as before. This, like, almost circular room with these like drapery kind of hanging around it, making it feel kind of like a tent almost. And there's this like heady kind of fog or smoke just like laying ankle high. Pillows all around as you sort of enter in the room. The door just closes behind you. And in the center of the room, like literally the center in all axes, you see floating there, legs crossed, eyes closed, is Cruntus.
He would walk up to sort of directly in front of his face, so not behind him, and kneel onto one of the cushions that were there and softly just say, I need a moment of your time.
You see that his like legs unfold and drop down as if he was standing, and in that same sort of like fluid movement, his feet hit the ground, and he kind of places a hand on your shoulder, like a almost like a pull kind of situation, like indicating that you should stand. What can I help you with?
He would stay knelt. I had a dream, and the last one that was similar to this didn't go well. Bad things happened soon after. I feel like we're being watched. And he looks up to the ceiling of the room. I think the King of Nod is watching us, and I'm worried that we've brought him to your home. We are going to be leaving as soon as we can to take the eye away from you. But I just wanted to warn you that you may have trouble. And I can only apologize if we've brought it upon you.
Trouble is something we can handle. You and your companions seem to have made yourselves a great enemy. What have you done that could draw the ire of the King of Dreams?
I didn't do anything. And he smiles. But the others kind of blew something up. We helped Stephanie to make sure she could have her baby. And he sort of puts his hand on the stolen book that he acquired and still hasn't had a chance to read. I don't think we've particularly done anything specific to anything. But we were told by Dreschen that we had to help.
And you believe this is something that drew the ire? This child?
It could be the child. I can't think of anything else. We just helped her to make sure she was safe to have the baby.
Then perhaps one of the unknown enemies we discussed last night has become known.
It's the only thing I can think of. There is the dragon, of course, so, but we know she's after us.
Should the king send his nodlings, we will deal with them. But I agree with your plan. It is best if you make haste. Where will you go?
I don't think we should tell anyone. I think we need to just go. If anything happens, I would rather not have anyone behind us to have to deal with trouble on our behalf.
I understand. If I could impart some direction. Obviously, the best place for you is outside of the Nightlands. But to get there, you must pass through Samara. There is a man in Loreda who may be of assistance to you. I would avoid the roads, if at all possible. And he, like, without like, without consent or any kind of warning, he like just grabs you in like what seemed like a kind of an aggressive move, but it just softens into like a weird hug that you're now just in. And then he sort of just pats you on the back, and he like whispers in that same weird like breathy tone, "Best of luck. I hope our paths do not cross again." And then he like breaks this hold.
Korax would nod his head and start to make his way to the door, and before he opens them, he stops and looks back. If they do cross, I hope they're under better circumstances.
You see a smile of like bright white teeth, and as you turn back to the door, they open for you, and then close behind you as you exit. And you see all of the monks in perfect rows, eating in perfect synchronicity, like weird robots, and you see your allies are in the back corner as they were the previous night, eating in non-synchronicity. And you are able to make your way over there and join them if you so choose. Okay.
You would, yeah.
So yeah, you see them all eating, I assume in some kind of weird, like pre-combat-esque silence where they're just kind of eating, like knowing the day ahead is going to suck. And you sort of throw one foot over the bench, throw the other foot over the bench, and begin to now eat your slightly colder breakfast. Are you all eating in silence from this point on, or is there any discussion to be had over breakfast?
I think Mina is definitely eating as quickly as he can. And as soon as Korax sits down, he's probably finishing and says to Korax, we'll see if we can get some supplies off them and head out when you're ready. And Mina will just get up and leave from the table and head outside.
Okay. The camera lingers with you for a second, Mina. Where are you headed?
He's going outside to see if there's anywhere he can train. If there's some, I assume there's some training dummies or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's just going to, get in through his morning routine of training for fight.
Yeah, so you exit, you kind of drop that supply bomb and you head out. The first area you see is that like training, like that dojo-esque kind of room, which is just empty. So if you need space to train, that would be equally fine. And then past that is outdoors. And you do see training dummies, but what you see are those, what the hell are they called? They're in every martial arts movie. They're like the long, like the log with the pegs sticking out of them for like, chops and blocks and that kind of thing. You see like rows of them, organized much like the benches and tables. You see those. They would take a spear impact, but probably not to the nicest way to thank your hosts by stabbing their training dolls.
He'd drop his equipment, like his shield and his spear.
Yep.
If there's a staff or something nearby that he could use as a faux spear, he'll pick that up.
Yeah. You actually see when you were leaving the dojo area that there was a bunch of blunt weapons, to include quarterstaffs. So you're easily able to grab one of those.
So he'll pick that up and he'll just start laying into one of these training dummies.
Okay. Necro, did you hear what Snow had said earlier? Before
That he was going outside?
That we should get supplies, and then he left. He just basically said that and then left as soon as you got to the table. So you are essentially left with Seydlitz, Dreshin, Stephanie, and the child. That being said, Seydlitz and Korax, are you guys talking over breakfast, or is it a continued quiet?
Korax would be very obviously shoveling food in his face as quickly as he can.
Okay.
If you eat too fast, you'll choke.
And if we stay too long, we could die.
Well, pick your poison, because if you die one way, you die the other.
He would stop mid moving the fork to his face. Yeah, but you can save me.
No, I can't. I'm not medically trained.
But then how do you know I'm going to choke if I eat too fast?
Old man wisdom.
You are old. That is true.
You remind me. Though I'm only like 8 years older than you.
Must be more than that. You must be at least 25.
7 years older than you. Okay. Moving away from this rousing game of who's older. The Stephanie and Dreschen finish eating, and they kind of like look at each other in like confused kind of tones. And Dreschen leans across the table and says, where are we going?
Same place we've always been going.
To Samora.
He would put his hand up before he tries to stop him saying the words. Same place we've always been going.
Understood.
But these people do not need to know where we're going.
Is there anything we should do to prepare for the journey? Anything more than we
Stretch?
have? Yes.
We're going to need, as Mina said, supplies. Seydlitz, you know what we need for traveling. But we need to stay off the roads. So whatever's going to make that easier.
Understood. He swings a leg over the bench, and gets up and then helps Stephanie get up. And the two of them also head out into the courtyard, leaving the two of you alone. What are you two doing? Are you getting supplies from somebody, or...
Clothing, camping supply. Seydlitz is just kind of quietly talking to himself, kind of like going through his fingers, like, what do we need?
Mm-hmm.
Like food, clothing, camping supplies.
What about navigation?
A map.
Is there anything else we need with a map?
Oh, compass.
Or will a map be enough for you
Compass.
and your old man wisdom?
Compass and a clock.
We'll see what we can find. Korax would stand. So compass, map, clock. I'll see what I can drum up. And he's going to go around and just find someone who's not eating.
Mm-hmm.
And see if he can request such items.
Yeah, you find one of the people that kind of lines the walls, and they're like standing outside of the doors, and you make your request, and you are told that all will be provided. And basically every time you make a request of like, oh, we need a map, a compass, they respond with all will be provided. Kind of cryptic, kind of useless, but that's what they tell you. Seydlitz, what are you doing after Korax leaves the table?
Well, better get the medical supplies, I guess.
Okay. So are you doing the same thing, trying to find somebody that can assist you?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. You get the same response. You find someone, you ask for these supplies, and the response is a dry, all will be provided.
Don't give me that cryptic crap. As he yells that he screams right in his face about it. It's like, I don't think that's how it works here.
You see all of the people kind of stop eating for a second and like look back to you and then turn back and continue eating. And the man looks to you, kind of bows his head a little bit and says, all will be provided.
Show it to me.
All will be provided when it is ready. Please. And he like motions towards the door.
Why did we have to end up in a place full of monks? As he walks out.
Could have been a place full of monsters. I think you chose the lesser of two evils. So you head out, Korax. You see Seydlitz, and you hear the outburst, and you see him like leaving towards the main exterior courtyard. Do you follow him? Okay. The two of you kind of catch up and exit this place, and you open the door and you hear the thunk, 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 and you see that Mina is out there training with a staff, like a quarterstaff, against a wooden training dummy. Stephanie and Dreschen are also kind of off to the side, but watching him. Dunk, 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 dunk. Just
Hey,
continues.
Korax, do you think you could do me a favor?
I can try.
Take this and toss it in the air when I ask you to. And he hands Korax his last bottle of alcohol.
Okay.
And he pulls out his crossbow. Go ahead and throw it. Just not near people, please.
Korax would try and throw it as far as he can.
Are you
Faye's
throwing
gonna try to
it?
shoot.
Are you throwing it like up in the air, Korax, or are you throwing it like away from you?
He's going to try and lob it. Like,
Okay.
ideally try and get it over the wall if he can. I don't think he can throw it.
Pull!
Okay. Just for fun, Korax, roll me a might check. Difficulty is going to be 3.
Difficulty 3. That is demanding, Mike. That is very hard.
Yeah, you have spaghetti arms. Perfect. Yeah, so you grab this bottle and you lob this. Like, even you're impressed. Like, you whiff this thing, and you're like, oh, I don't know what kind of power that had behind it. But you see this thing. You see the neck of the bottle is forward, and it has almost a perfect football spiral as it is sailing through the air. Seydlitz, how do you respond?
I'm gonna try to shoot it out of the air.
Okay. Let me see here. Let me just check something here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Seydlitz, you see the bottle. Whoo, you say throw. You see this thing spiraling perfectly. I'm not even gonna have you roll. Describe to me how you obliterate this bottle.
Just as it comes down, there's a target right in the background. He's gonna shoot, and the arrow is going to crash through this bottle and land into the target with like a piece of glass stuck to it, and the rest of it just shatters.
Perfect. Yeah. You do that. So Korax, you throw this bottle. You see Seydlitz like pull up his crossbow, as if like he was anticipating every movement, and you see him tracking this whole thing over. And the arrow, you hear the click of this bolt flying through, and you see this explosion of glass and the thunk of it landing in the solid wood of a training target. And you can hear this weird, like, spinning kind of rattle after you hear the thunk. And if you look closely, you can see that the arrow is in the training target, and the neck of the bottle is still sort of spinning around the bolt itself. That being the only part that didn't actually shatter. Mina, the explosion of glass is enough to draw your attention away from your training. As you kind of look quickly back and you see Seydlitz is holding a crossbow.
Are we ready to go?
Yep, just getting rid of the last of that. I don't think I'm going to be needing that stuff for a while.
Did we get some transport for Stephanie and the baby?
Korax shrugs. Apparently it'll be provided.
Well, you didn't ask for transport, but as you
I said
say,
everything.
as you say, it'll be provided. The door opens up for you, and the same 3, or at least as far as you can tell, because everyone kind of looks very similar. The same 3 that had welcomed you in the night before each walk out carrying a small pack. The pack is probably like, oh man, it's not like a big camping pack. It's probably like the size of like a sleeping bag. It's fairly small. But they each carry one, and they all walk out in the same unison and they all extend their arms and hand one to each of the three of you.
Mina will look at one of them and say, can we get a cart or a horse for the mother and child?
There's no need.
You said there's no need.
There's no need. We can't take the roads, Mina. They're unsafe.
The horse can go through the wilderness just as well as we can.
But the cart.
All right, just a horse then.
You see them all look to each other, like back and forth, like those balls that hang and click clack. And the center one kind of nods, and the other two take a step back and they walk in tandem around the side of the building, and you can hear the sound of a beast of burden being brought out to you. They bring you a completely unharnessed donkey. And they present the reins, because all he has is basically the bit, and he says, "This is our field animal."
Do you have any saddle or anything?
He is not for riding. He is for working the field. This is all we have.
I don't.
Someone told me all would be provided, so
I don't think taking a donkey like that would help us, because if he's not for riding and he doesn't have any of the equipment to carry stuff, all you would be able to do is pull a cart, and we can't take a cart.
I mean, you can ride the donkey. It's just not gonna like it.
And what do you guys do without the... And he looks at it. Donkey? Like, how are you going to work the fields without it?
Manually.
Korax looks to Mina. That's a shitty job.
I'm not comfortable with this.
I've done it. It's a shitty job.
would
We
you
can
rather
walk. We don't have far to go.
would you rather Stephanie and the child walk the whole way?
Stephanie can walk. He looks at Dreshen. He's capable of helping carrying a baby. Otherwise, what's the point in him coming along?
Another thing, Mina, if it's not for riding, as they say Stephanie tries to get on and it just kicks them off, what happens?
All right, lose the donkey. I was just trying to look after the welfare of the child and its mother.
You see the one who was the centermost guy, the one who stayed. He reaches down and you see him undoing like a large knot at his hip, and he begins to like pull this like long fabric belt that they all kind of wear, and he's pulling this and undoes this huge knot, and you see he has like about a 10-foot. Actually, Mina, you would know. This is like probably fairly expensive piece of cloth. It's not silk, but it's like the next tensile strength above, right? So it's fairly soft. It's still see-through, but it has a solid tensile strength. And he sort of walks to he walks over to Stephanie, and you can kind of hear a bit of back and forth conversation where he is asking for permission to try something, and then you see him take the baby and begins to wrap the baby in this cloth, and then you see him making like larger wraps, and it seems to be wrapping around Stephanie, and he has essentially bundled the child into like a carry-all at the chest of Stephanie. And he turns to you, who voiced the most concern. He said, "This should ease the burden."
Thank you. Let's go.
Korax opens his bag that they've given him.
Mm-hmm.
Does he see a map?
You do. Yeah, you see a hand-drawn map.
What is evident on the map?
As far as?
Roads and towns that are named and labeled.
Yeah. Okay, so you see where you are is labeled. You see where there is a road heading from Corso to where you are to the Deadwood, which you can only assume is the Deadwood because that's unlabeled. Like bodies of land and water and terrain are unlabeled. However, you do see that there are several places, notably the Iron City, which is to the left-hand side of the map. You see the Hornscar, which is to the north of Corso. You see Marigan, which is to the north of the Deadwood. Chrysorek, which is on the eastern coast of the RuneScape, and obviously you see Samora at the top, like the very top of this small map. You do see that there are a few roads. One leads from Corso to Samora, and along the way you see that there is a small label that says Loreda. You see another small one that says Nemero.
Is the little town that's to the south, is that marked off? It's southeast on the actual map on the coast.
It is not.
It's
talking about the Dark City?
Yeah, that's not labeled on the map.
It's not labeled on the map.
Right. Korax will just look at the map. Okay. He wouldn't say anything more.
Yeah, the Dark City is not labeled, and neither is the other one that I can't think of. Yeah, only the ones that I mentioned are the ones along the main road, and the main cities. There's missing one inside the Deadwood. There's missing the Dark City. There's missing another one on the southern coast, and there's missing another one in the northwestern forest edge. Those are all not labeled. They don't even appear on the map.
Okay.
Mina will have seen Korax looking through the stuff they were given and asked them, is there lots of dream dust in there?
Are you asking Korax?
Yeah.
Would Korax know what dream dust is?
No.
There's supplies.
Is there any dream dust? Have you not used dream dust before?
No.
It stops you from being sucked into the land of Nod.
I'm assuming it looks like dust.
Yep.
I don't see dust.
Well, I hope you've got some on you because we're going to need it.
So, Korax, roll me some kind of merchant-based intelligence check. I will give you a +1 bonus for. I'll give you an asset for being a traveling merchant.
I don't have anything on me or skills that are going to help me. What is the difficulty on this?
The difficulty is going to be 5.
Ooh. This is intelligence. I'm going to use effort to roll 1 asset. That's success.
Now that you're looking through your pack and you're hearing Mina's explanation about it, you are beginning to recall a little bit. It's not common in your travels. It's not an uncommon item here in the Nightlands. Usually it costs quite a bit of money to get it. It is, as far as you know, none of you are from the Nightlands. I believe you've discussed that as much. It is strange that Mina, who is apparently a tailor, would have some seemingly strong knowledge of dream dust. Not everyone knows about it. Not everyone can afford it, can use it, kind of thing. So having known to ask for an item that would prevent dreams, basically, is not concerning, but an interesting fact that you might just have in your head now, that he would have that information. That being said, you do not see any in your pouch.
He looks to Mina. No dust. We should go. And he looks to the three monks, does a very short bow. Thank you for everything.
They return the bow and they say, "Pleasant journeys. We wish you the best."
And to you.
You see Stephanie sort of give her thanks, and she attempts to go to give a matronly hug to one of the monks, and there's an awkward exchange. Dreshin is bumbling and profusely shakes the hand of another one. Mina and Seydlitz, do you just turn heel and leave, or?
Seydlitz tips his hat at them in kind of a gesture of thanks.
Got it. Okay, they kind of nod in response to that. And Mina, what about you?
Yeah, Mina just stalks off.
Okay. So Mina, kind of wordlessly at the mention of no dream dust, heads towards the main gate, which is open for you guys. As you guys all make your way out, again, the door, it closes, the gate closes, and you are found on the road. The road stretches before you. You know that if you head back to the east will lead you to Corso. Corax, you know from the map that you're looking at where you are. If you head basically
directly north, almost.
Straight north almost, would get you to Lereda, if that's where you want to go. Northeast would get you towards Nemero, and then straight north from that would get you to Samora, through the mountain peaks, or through the mountain pass, rather. So, you have the map in your pack. You have the navigation supplies in your pack. What are you doing with it?
He would take the navigation supplies and hand them to Seydlitz.
Okay.
And on the map, point to Lereda. We need to go here. And not take the roads.
Well, the best way, I guess, would probably, looking at the map, we could either go through the marsh, or we could take a little bit longer, probably a bit safer, go circumvent the marsh a little bit around to the west, going northwest, then switching back to northeast. Once we hit the road, we could follow the road along the side and then get on the road just before.
No roads. Our floating friend from inside said, "Don't go on the roads." And there is someone here in this place. And he looks to Mina. This person apparently we can trust. All he said was there is a man here who will help us. And everything has just been magically found to us. So,
I'm gonna have to point this out. If we're doing no roads, then it's gonna look more suspicious if we pop up to the Lereda gates, coming from the land.
Oh, that's your job. I get in a cart.
That's why I was
and
saying
I travel a road.
That's why I say we should get on the road just before, just over the horizon, basically.
Whatever's safest. Because, I don't want to walk through the marsh. And he looks down at his boots.
Trust me, I don't either. That's why I suggested going around it. So we could head west, north, and then back east.
Okay.
As long as we stay off the roads.
Seydlitz, you can add a Nightland navigation tools to your character sheet, and that will provide you with an asset for navigating in the Nightlands. So it'll be a +1 asset, which I firmly put on you to remember that you have. That being said, if you would like to navigate that path, Seydlitz, please make me a difficulty 4, difficulty 4 navigation check. Your navigation skills would apply here as well.
And add an asset for the nav tools?
Yeah, yep. Okay, yeah. You can plot a good course to Loreda, if that is where you guys wish to go. And heading out on your journey, I don't like random roll tables and journey nonsense, so we're going to use a fun little journey tool that I use every once in a while. We're going to go around the table here, and I would like each of you to tell me. This is going to be about a day's journey. You can either arrive at dusk, or you can wait it out and arrive in the morning. I'll let you guys decide that. But in the meantime, I would like each one of you to explain a difficulty that has cropped up during the travel and how you used your skills to circumvent this difficulty. Yeah, take that, Chris. We'll start with the navigator. We'll start with Seydlitz. And navigation does not count as a skill.
Seydlitz looks at the map and realizes it's about 5 degrees off.
Okay.
And he finds that out just based on how the compass is positioned in the clock cycle.
Okay. All right. I can and how are you able to circumvent that?
Yeah, just works it out. Kind of trial and error working out with the compass. And finds out, I was like, all right, we're actually here and not here.
Okay. So given that information, you can shave a few hours off your trip. So instead of arriving at dusk, you could instead arrive at like a 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Right? It's not quite dark, but it's headed towards dusk. So you can basically shave like an hour and a half off your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mina, what about you?
I think as we're traveling along, Seydlitz is paying attention to the terrain and the map, and he fails to spot that we're heading towards what looks to be the meandering smoke from a campfire.
Interesting. Okay.
And Mina quickly, gives a quick, sharp whistle to draw Seydlitz's attention, and then point out the smoke to him.
Okay. Are you avoiding this, or are you investigating to see who else is off-roading it?
I recommend we investigate, but
okay.
He's been argued against for most of this day, so that's probably not going to happen.
Fortunately, this is a travel montage. So, Mina, as you win the battle, you are able to scout ahead. At this campfire, what do you see?
I think the campfire is a couple of Sleen who
okay.
Just seem to be lounging in the sun around the campfire, not aggressively or anything like that.
Okay. So for the audience here, describe to us what the Sleen look like.
So the Sleen are essentially lizard people. So they've got scales and the small stature of lizard, but they walk on two legs like a human.
Yeah, they do. They're cool as shit. Yeah, so you see two Sleen that are kind of fire bathing next to the fire, minding their own business. They are armor clad in basic travel leathers, and they do appear to have arms, at least two. But that brings us to Korax. What issue befell the group that you could solve?
The group is harder to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Korax doesn't have skills, Mike.
That's why I asked.
I think as we're going along, being off-road, as the lights started to fade.
Well, there is no light. You're in perpetual darkness.
Perpetual darkness. As we're not carrying any lights in that case. Seydlitz was effectively walking us towards a cliff of some description. Not necessarily kill yourself cliff, but enough to break a leg.
Sure.
And being observant, and because he has scan, Korax was able to spot it before we tumbled over the edge.
Okay, so you're essentially reaching out with senses other than the 5 in which we are familiar. And while Seydlitz is a master navigator, it's very hard to navigate terrain when you don't have any kind of topography on your map whatsoever. Everything looks flat. So while going in the right direction, he does not know the lay of the land. So it is, not his fault that there was some kind of like low-lying hill or small cliff face, a cut, if you will. And you are able to identify this and prevent minor inconvenience of probably a broken ankle or something of the like. And you are able to get to Laredo. Now, you're able to get there around like dinner time. Would you like to wait it out and like camp and then go in the morning? Like actually enter in the morning? How do you guys want to approach the town?
I think we're safer in the town than outside.
Okay. That's one vote for go now. What's everyone else thought?
Korax would go with the group. His only plan was to get you.
Okay. Seydlitz?
And if we go into town, do we know the lay? Do we know like someone who might help us? Place to stay?
You know nothing.
Wasn't that the point? Wasn't there someone we're meant to be able to trust here?
There is. I don't know how we find them. You know what
Well, we'll leave that to you, Korax. Good luck.
I'll try. But you know how cryptic those people were. They didn't give us any information. They said a lot. I mean, that guy spoke all night and never said a thing.
I know someone like that.
Seydlitz does talk a lot. He's probably been silent the whole walk.
Right.
I mean, we can try and find them.
Yep.
Surely they'll be provided when we rock up. Like everything else that's been provided.
All will be provided, right?
Exactly.
Not like we're being manipulated or led in any way, shape, or form.
Why would you
Probably
even
are
suggest
anyway.
that?
Let's go in. Let's find a tavern, and it's safer than staying out here.
Okay.
Korax would hood up, cover his hair as much as he can, tuck it into any bits of scrap cloth he's got to sort of hide identifying features.
Is it because you're wanted? Is that why?
No, it's because he's got bright red hair, and not everyone has that.
Right. Only wanted people have that. Yeah, so you see the outskirts of the town. This is not a walled town. This is just a small town. Judging by the size of it and, living in a small town, Korax, it's bigger than the town you grew up in, but less than 1,000 people live here. This is a fairly small community. And you are able to... actually, you know what? Roll me... anyone can. Roll me observation. Roll me some kind of... it would be a difficulty 3, and it would be an intelligence-based check. If you have any observation skills.
Scan wouldn't apply here because it's only a 3-meter cube.
Yes.
10-foot cube. Right.
It would not apply. It would not apply.
I don't think identifying or assessing danger would count either.
I think you could. I would argue that it could.
All right. Difficulty 3?
Difficulty 3. Yeah, identifying and assessing danger doesn't mean that there is a danger. It just means you're trying to figure out whether there is or not. No. Okay. Korax and Mina, roll me the same.
I can roll you an intellect.
Yeah.
What was the difficulty?
3.
3. Oh, difficulty 3.
Okay.
Success.
This makes sense. So as in the last few years, your traveling merchant trade, your navigation skills lack because you didn't have to worry about it. You just hopped on the thing and you went where places were. So really remembering towns you went to and people that you spoke with and places that you went to, not really your strong suit. Reading the books on the back of the cart definitely your strong suit. But one thing does stick out in your mind. You can see that over the top, beyond Laredo, there is a small, because it's probably miles away at this point, there's a small golden light just floating in the sky.
And that light's familiar?
Yeah, it is. You have seen this before because of your travels. You know that this is a golden bower. A golden bower is a very expensive arcane instrument that floats several hundred feet in the air. Usually, and by usually I mean like 99.9% of the time, it floats over a town, a small farming village, because it irradiates like a small sun. And underneath the light of a golden bower, you can grow food as if you were outside of the Nightlands. So this is not over the town. This does seem to be miles beyond the town. And if you check your map or you lean over the shoulder to see Seydlitz, you do not see anything marked on the map where that should be, which is north of the town of Laredo. But you do notice that it is out there. Usually those are commissioned by sorcerers or wealthy landowners, and underneath one, there's always a farm. And they usually last about a year. That's why they're so expensive. Yeah, so you see Laredo, you see the outline of the buildings, you see that there are street lights, basically like lanterns on the exterior buildings, several lanterns in like the main square of the town, so to speak. But as far as you can tell, aside from being abject darkness, Mina, Corax, this seems like a small provincial town that you would be familiar with in your travels or your backstories. Yeah, this is a small town, Laredo. What are you doing? How are you approaching? Where are you going?
Mina just walks up to the gate.
There's no gate, no walls.
No,
just open town.
okay. Just walks into the center of town.
Okay.
Assuming that the center of town is normally where an inn or tavern is.
Yeah. So do you guys follow Mina's lead here? Yes. Okay. So yeah, you guys follow. Mina kind of enters the main town. There's people that kind of like, you see them looking at you. It's town, so it's there's people around. They kind of eyeball you. Not often every day you see just a group of travelers, let alone one swaddling a baby. But you head towards the main area of town, which has the most street lamps. And in this, you see, like, as you kind of get closer, you see that there is like, there's a few small buildings, houses, the like. There's a larger 2-story tavern, or an inn, perhaps. And you see, almost like out of place, you see like what you would assume. So Mina and Korax, and I even say this too, you would kind of know this as like a park. There's a small park here, which you would normally see with like grass and like a bench or something like that. But what you see is like moss almost, like a fungal growth instead of grass. It does look like it would be soft, but you do see a strange like park. It seems out of place for the positivity that a park would bring to the Nightlands, and that is around and outside of a house.
It's a shame Octavia's not here. She'd like that.
Right.
This is very odd, isn't it?
It's not.
Yes,
It's
it
not
is.
commonplace. Yeah. It's like this house has a lawn.
Corax
I
would
bet-
look to the others. Go for it, Titus.
I bet a rich guy lives there.
A rich guy or a witch guy?
Or a wizard guy.
I've never seen something like that. I've traveled a lot. Stopped in many towns. I haven't seen that.
Is that who we're meant to talk to? Hell Trust?
It'll be provided, apparently.
Why don't you go and find out? Here, Korax, go knock. If they don't kill you, I think it'd be fine.
I mean, people shouldn't just randomly kill you for knocking on their door, but
We're in the Nightlands. You can literally buy murder passes.
you can.
Well, that's only Corso, but
Those aren't cheap.
they are not cheap.
I mean, do you want to go to the tavern or do you want me to knock on that door? It's your choice. I'll happily knock on the door.
Go knock on the door.
He would walk up.
It's been a boring trip.
He would walk up and stop on the lawn
Mhm.
and just put his hands down and feel the moss, the
Yeah,
mossy
it is.
grass.
It is like spongy moss. Like it wouldn't crunch under your feet, and it's definitely like a softer than the road that you've been walking on. And as you kind of like press it a little bit, there's like that weird wetness of moss, and as soon as you kind of press into it, it releases like a very earthen smell, like fresh turned dirt.
This is odd. He would just say out loud, "This is odd."
Okay.
Stand up, walk, and knock on the door.
Yeah, you do. There's a small stone path that leads to the door. You sort of knock, and a few seconds pass, and you hear the clasps on the opposite side undoing, and the door creaks inward. And you see standing before you. This guy is played by Timothy Odmanson. He's you ever see the show Psych? No? Oh, man. I wish I knew what other things he was in. He's a cop in that show. Anyway, he's played by Timothy Odmanson. And he has a very, like, he's got, like, a kind of, like, a twirled mustache. He's got a short beard, a little bit more full, rather, than what Seydlitz just did to his. And he has long, wavy hair that kind of goes back to, like, shoulder length, a little bit past that. A very Mark Twain look to him. And you see that he's dressed in fineries. He definitely has like, I wouldn't quite call it a robe, but he definitely has a long jacket. And he has a nice tunic kind of buttoned up, and there is like an ascot situation going on there, like a poof of an ascot. He does look fancy, and on the neck of the tunic where it clasps together, he has a pendant there as well. And he looks to you and he says, "Yes."
Good day, sir. I'm looking to see if you have any wares to sell.
No.
But
Why?
you have a fine house and a fine mossy floor. You must have things you don't need.
Are you a beggar?
No, sir, a traveling salesman.
You're a traveling salesman, asking
Yes, sir.
if I have things to sell.
I require items in order to sell them on. There are people in Corso who would pay handsomely for.
You mustn't
Whatever
be a very
magic you
good
have to
traveling
make this.
salesman if you don't have anything to sell.
No, I need more things to sell, sir.
And you think I would be a benefactor for you?
No, I would buy your things and then sell them for more money in Corso. Unless you take this magical lawn and sell it yourself.
Why couldn't I just sell them in Corso myself?
You're going to travel to Corso.
I'm not.
There we go.
But neither am I going to sell my goods. They are mine. Hence why I purchased them.
What is this pendant? Like you said he was wearing?
Yeah, he is wearing a, you can kind of see it in the light of one of the flickering streetlights. He has a very ornate, like, You know, like the fancy first letter in calligraphy? That's like the square in like old-timey book. Yeah. He has like that. And if you kind of like squint at it, you're pretty sure it is a mushroom. Yeah.
Hmm.
In the background, you can just hear Seydlitz shouting to Mina, like, "Hey, Mina, how much you want to bet that he gets thrown out here in a few minutes?"
You're on.
All
All right.
Anything thrown out.
3 stars. You got a deal.
Stars.
I bet he gets thrown out in about 2 minutes.
That's rich betting.
Start the clock.
It's IOU betting.
Yeah.
So you have nothing.
Nothing
of
that I'm
value
willing
that
to
you don't
sell.
require.
No.
No extras?
If I didn't require it, why would I have purchased it in the first place?
Because you're a man of extravagance.
Who says this?
It's evident, sir.
The attempted charm is just superb. He says, well, the evidence is clearly incorrect. All the things I have purchased are things that I need. Is there
You're
something
fancy
that
man,
you
sir.
need?
I needed things to sell, sir, but if you have nothing, then
Perhaps a general store.
the items in a general store can be purchased anywhere. The items that you probably possess can only be found wherever you found them, or in your house.
Well, then I recommend you take up a job at the local salvage.
You salvaged all your items?
Maybe.
I couldn't imagine a man like you having junk in your home.
Oh, so rewind. Salvage, in this context, Necro, salvager guilds are what are essentially like dungeoning guilds. They're the ones who spelunk into like old ruins and bring back like big time artifacts and magical hoopla. Yeah.
So I don't want to get dirty. As you do not. I'm assuming you don't go acquiring these things yourselves.
Well, why would you assume that?
So you're a fancy man. You have fancy tastes. And he looks around.
Just
I mean,
because I
and
dress in a fancy manner does not mean I am above salvaging. You dress in a very meager manner, and clearly you are a, as you put it, traveling salesman.
I've sold many things, sir. And bought many more.
One would assume, given your look, that you might be a beggar, not a traveling salesman. One might assume by my look that I am what you have assumed and not, in fact, a successful salvager.
But you're
Perhaps
saying
I
you're
am
not
both.
a fancy man who has many fancy things.
I have said nothing of the kind. I just said I could also be a salvager.
Salvagers generally sell their wares, sir. So is there anything you're looking to sell?
I've sold all that I have meant to sell.
Then you're of no use to me. I thank you very much for your time. You have no items for me to purchase. And if there's anything that I come across on my travels, and I'm passing through this lovely town, I will pop in to see your garden again.
How fucking awkward this is. Do you leave?
He would turn to leave, yeah.
Okay. As you turn to leave, you begin to step back towards Mina and Seydlitz, and the earth that you had walked on previously, this like mossy thing, is like sucking you in almost. Like it was a little spongy before, but now you're like, it's like swampy. Like you're like you're going ankle deep into this moss, which was not the case before. And in fact, every step you take, you have to kind of like pull your boot out, which was definitely not the case just mere moments ago. And you definitely notice this. Like within the first 2 steps, you notice that something has happened to the terrain to make it more difficult to traverse.
If he stops, does he sink? Or does he stay at the depth that he's stood into it?
If you stop, you feel yourself going just slightly in more. It's not like a concerning amount. It's not like you're in quicksand. It's not like you're in jeopardy of being like pulled underneath the ground. But it definitely feels like there's like, you know when like moss grows normally there's like earth underneath it. It just feels like there's not.
He would stop for half a second as he realizes he's still ever so slightly sinking and look back to the man. Is he still in the doorway?
He is.
Am I allowed to leave, sir? Your grass seems to be eating my shoes.
Well, perhaps you need to purchase new shoes. What is your business in town? And he like looks to you, and then his eyes dart past you to what is clearly 4 people waiting for you. What brings you to Laredo?
Passing through, sir.
Passing through to where?
Somewhere other than here.
And
I did think also.
You travel at night. Well,
it's always night.
Relatively. You travel with a child.
Sometimes. It's just helping them find their way to where we're going. Keeping them safe.
It's dangerous work without a caravan. You don't look like one to defend the weak.
No. I'm the one who talks, sir. I'm the one who buys. The others are a bit more handy with weapons.
Interesting.
That is their job.
And you find yourself passing through Laredo.
Indeed, there's a road that goes through here, does there not?
It does. It does. Well, I bid you to the tavern. And he points towards that double-stacked building. If you're looking for a place to stay for the night.
I mean, you don't want us to stay with you? I mean, your grass is trying to eat my shoes.
No, I was curious what brought the 4 of you, well, 5 of you, to my doorstep.
The beautiful grass, sir. And he pulls his foot out of it. It'd be great if it stopped trying to eat me. If you could...
If I could what?
I don't know if you have control over it. And he looks around and tries to walk off.
You're like... He leans down and you see him like pluck a bit of moss and like roll it between his fingers. He says, now what would make you think that I would have control over my lawn? And he sort of like sprinkles the moss that he was rolling in his fingers back down, and as soon as the moss hits like the moss bed, your feet no longer slop into the ground.
He would look back. Fancy men have fancy toys, sir. Which is why I was trying to purchase.
Roll me an intelligence level 3 relating to the use of magic.
Ooh. Do I have something that helps with that? Would discerning true motives or seeing through lies have any impact?
I'll say yeah. I'll take a yes on that one.
And magic training, you traces the basics of magic.
No, that just lets you know magic.
Okay, so discerning true motives, and that is it. Unless scan would help.
No,
we're quite close. No.
You could scan him after the fact, but that wouldn't help you in this check.
Right, and difficulty 3. Do you know what? I'm going to use effort.
Okay.
I want to know this.
Okay.
Success.
This person is 100% manipulating the grass by magic. He seems to have sentient control over at least his lawn. You can feel it. Like, you know that you can, like, that like crackle, like that weird, like, the hair on the back of your neck stands. You can feel that, like, electricity in the air. Like, you know he's controlling it by magic.
He would bow as if you'd tip an imaginary hat. I appreciate you stopping your grass, sir.
So I appreciate your visit, young man, and I wish you good luck on your sales journey.
If I find anything of interest for you, is there anything in particular you're after? any sort of items? Something to help with your grass problem?
You know, I'll tell you what, my dear boy. If there is, in the course of the night that I can think of, I will call on you at the inn.
That sounds like a plan.
Then a good night to you and your companions. And he kind of raises his voice an octave to say companions so that you all know that he's noticed you and has associated you with Korax.
He would deep bow at this point. Can I scan him, Mike?
Yeah, remind us all what scan does.
So scan allows you to search an area equal to 10 foot in size, including all objects. If you scan a creature or object, it reveals its level, how dangerous it is, and any other interesting facts the GM feels is pertinent.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I will give you an option. You can scan him, and he will know that you scanned him. Or you can scan him and roll me a check to hide that. And if you succeed, he will not know that you've scanned him.
I think Korax is doing it obviously. Because
Okay.
Korax knows about him controlling the grass, and they had that little conversation. So he would bow that really deep bow and scan him with a smile.
Okay.
Scan him.
I'm trying to figure out how scan would look, like how it would appear to you, as like it's like a very like MMO, right? Like it comes up with like all their stats and stuff. You would, let's see here. It reveals his level and a measure of how powerful they are. Okay. So you scan this person. You see, as you kind of like look, your eyes glow that same kind of blue, that magical blue kind of color. And you see him, and you see that like, kind of glowing all around him is this like, dark green, right? Like a forest canopy green, right? Like not quite olive drab, but like just darker green. Just kind of emanates around him in the same way that like your resonance field is around you, and you can see that where it comes down, you can see that it's growing into the ground as if roots. You can tell by whatever magical means you control that this person is mechanically a level 5. And you can see, so he's a level 5 challenge, and you can see that he seems to have control over plants. And as you look deeper at this person, you can see that there is like movement on like his resonance field, for lack of a better word. And you can see that there are like things like it's hard to see, but you kind of like catch it. Like as you go to look away, there are bugs crawling up his resonance field. The same arcane sort of symbols, or the same sort of arcane glow, rather. So they're not actually there. But you get the feeling that he can also control insects.
Does he feel evil or bad in any way?
How would you know?
Well, I don't know if the discerning true motives or seeing through lies would have helped with that.
It didn't, because at the time, the motives and truths you were trying to see through were, you know, selling him things and who he was and whether he was trying to hide magic from you. From your interaction currently, you do not get any sort of ill will from this person. He seems genuine in that he seems genuine in a very don't judge a book by its cover kind of way, and that if I can think of something, he will call on you. If he can think of something.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you don't sense that he's like a bad guy. You just sense that he's like a guy. He's fairly average dude that can control bugs and plants. But yeah, you scan him, and he stands there the entire time. And as you kind of bow and your eyes go back from blue back to their normal kind of color, and you rise and walk away, he never breaks contact. He's watching you and your group the entire time until you get back to your group. And as you rejoin your 4 allies, he is still in the doorway.
Korax would look at this. Octavia would have loved him. You were right.
You
Think
owe
the
me
tavern's
3
the place we need to
stars.
go.
I owe you 3 stars. He got kicked out.
He didn't get kicked out. He walked out.
I didn't get kicked out. We had a conversation.
Blast.
Didn't have anything for me, so we move on.
First round's on you. And Mina will head towards
Fair enough.
tavern.
Okay. Do you all head towards the tavern? Seydlitz, I assume you also join.
He sticks for a minute, just like, crap. I lost the bet. Like, all right.
Okay. Yeah, so you all head towards the tavern, Korax following as well. And you enter in, and it's going from the city tavern, which is the last one you guys went to this one, it's a big letdown. There's maybe 10 patrons in here. There's a quiet din. There's two people at a table, and one of them has like a harmonica, right? And the other one's just sort of tapping and slapping a knee. And that's what makes for entertainment. And it's just like they just showed up and decided to do it. Like they're not hired for it. They're just having a good old time. At the end of the day, everyone's sort of like peeks ahead at you when you come in. There's kind of an acknowledgement, right? You get the feeling that no one lives here. Like none of these people here are like townies. Judging by the placement of Loreda, this is a hub of trade. Like in the sense that people come through here. So this is like a watering hole, a stopping point for caravans. And Korax, in all honesty, you have an air of like familiarity, but at the same time, you've been to a dozen towns like this, so it's hard to know if you came to this one. But yeah, this seems to be like a trade hub, but not like a trade hub where trading is done, but like a pass through. Everyone kind of acknowledges you being there. They all seem to be travelers of a similar bent, and you guys all enter in. The bartender is a woman. She is red-haired. She has like a purple vest on with like tan pants, and a white shirt comes out, like flows out from underneath the vest. And she goes to look at you at first, Mina, because you were the first one to enter the bar, and then her eyes dart past you very quickly as she clearly has noticed the child, and then back to you. And she says, would you like a room or several?
Yes. Do you have any rooms available?
We do. We have 2 left for the night.
Yep. Yeah, we'll take both.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like? A hot meal or a...
Food and drink? Yep, on the old man.
And she looks past you, and for a second her eyes stop on Seydlitz, and then they continue back to Dreschen. He's, I don't have...
Over here.
Oh, thank you. And he like looks to you, Seydlitz. What will you be having, sir? And she speaks to Seydlitz.
Whatever they got. Whatever they want, it's on me. I lost the dang bet.
My apologies. And so as a round of drinks, of age-appropriate drinks comes out, and food as well. The food here is a little bit better than what you had in Corso, at least. It is mushroom based. Although you actually, so you have like a large mushroom, which looks to be serving as your faux protein, covered in gravy. But you do see that there is fresh vegetables here. There are fresh greens, which is not common. Korax, you especially would know that. Not common outside of one of the major cities. It likely means, and this confirms what you saw earlier, that there is a farm nearby where these people can buy fresh greens that are probably in transit to Corso. But yeah, they bring you this food, stewed mushrooms and some fresh greens to your table with ale. The ale does taste funny. It's like, it tastes a little bit like dirt mixed into your beer. And it is not until you see another cask, a small like pony keg, rolled out, and you see the stamp on it, that you realize that it is mushroom ale. So slightly weird from your previous kind, but here you are.
Does the mushroom look the same as the pendant?
It does not.
Does not.
Yeah, it is just a mushroom. But yeah, you, the four of you are at a table. Sorry, the five of you are at a table. The baby is quietly sleeping, as you are able to eat and drink to your fill. What are you guys doing in the town of Laredia? What's your plan here?
First off, Seydlitz takes one sip of the beer and then pushes it down. Is like, that terrible.
I get it.
Mina will look at Korax and say, how do we find the person we're meant to trust?
I honestly don't know. I should have asked.
You were told to find someone, and you didn't ask how to.
The cryptic guy just said, go to Laredo, avoid the roads. There'll be a man there to help you. It could be the mushroom dude.
I mean, at least you know it's a man. We've kind of narrowed it down by about 50%.
Korax would look around the room. It's none of these people.
So it wasn't the weird guy you were talking to?
It could have been. I was kind of hoping he would have given some indication that he was expecting us. But
I mean, he didn't kill us. That's a good sign.
Well, he did have his lawn try to eat Korax's shoes.
I mean,
that was fun. We had a good discussion. But he's definitely lives here. And he looks at the mushroom and pokes it in his bowl. I have a feeling that this is his doing.
So what you're saying is basically he's a farmer.
A magic farmer?
Why not?
The vegetables are growing outside of town. All the fresh bits, and he pushes them to the side of his plate and separates them from the mushroom. That comes from north. I don't know if any of you saw it, but there was a golden bower in the distance. So it means that's all coming from north. But I think the mushrooms and this sandy beer or ale is from here. And I think it's his doing.
I'll tell him he makes terrible beer next time you talk to him.
He may be the one we're after. But and Korax would look to Mina. You were concerned about trusting people. And I don't want to tell random people where we're going.
No, that makes sense. Maybe the lady running the bar might have some information. If you tell her that you have a message from the monastery of Uruk to pass on to someone, it might spark some recognition.
I can do. I stand out a bit, so...
Yeah, I'm not good at that stuff.
Korax would look to Seydlitz.
Davis just shakes his head at him.
Guess it's me. And he would sit there and just carry on eating his meal.
Okay. Yeah, the din around you continues. No one really seems to take notice of you guys. No one really seems to care. Again, like I said, this is mostly like travelers or traders that are coming in through the town. Yeah, you're relatively left alone. The barkeep does come over a couple times. You know, the typical like, how is everything? Do you need anything else? A refill? That kind of thing. Do you guys say anything to her, Korax? I know you were just kind of chosen as the mouthpiece. Do you sort of drop anything?
Not at the table. Once Korax has finished his meal, he would head up to the bar.
Okay. Yeah, totally. So the meal is finished. You guys have, kind of brushed her off a couple times or like placated. No, we're all good. Everything's great, right? And then there's that, like, awkward, like, pushing things around on your plate to avoid the inevitable kind of situation. And you eventually head towards the bar. What are you saying?
He would walk up, my good lady. We have a message from the monastery that's I'm not good at directions, but the monastery, Urok.
The chapter house, yes.
Yeah, we don't know who it's for, but we've been told to see a man in town who knows them.
A man who knows the chapter house.
Yeah, I was been there.
I mean, any one of these travelers could have been there before.
I gather it's someone who lives here, not the riffraff.
Well, not many people I know have headed that far south, especially through the swamp. Mostly to Corso and back, if anywhere at all. We have everything we need here. The traders bring the rest. What is it that you're supposed to deliver? Perhaps if I knew the context, I could help you find the person.
It's just a message. I don't have the message. It's someone else. One of the others has it, and it's sealed.
Oh. Is there a marking on it at all?
Nope. It's just the seal from the man at the monastery.
Interesting. And you were told, you're sure that the man lives here, in Laredo?
Yep. We were told that the man in Laredo would be the one to give the message to.
Man in Laredo. The message in the chapter house.
I mean, the only person we've met is the guy with the nice lawn that tries to eat your feet.
She kind of smiles and has like a slight laugh to that. You mean Galvant? Yes.
Is that his name?
Yes. Galvant is well known in these parts. He is he's a good man, Galvant. He protects this town.
Provides much of the food, I'm assuming, and the required ingredients for your beer.
No, actually, Galvin is not a farmer at all. We do have a mushroom farm here, but it is not his. Just the town's mushroom farm. Several of the locals operate it. Galvin is, no one's really ever asked. I don't know what he did before he came here. But he's here now, and we do owe him a great deal. He has kept the peace in Galvant. That's why there is no fighting in the taverns, this one or the other one, down the other side of town. It's relatively peaceful and quiet here, especially with the amount of travelers and traders coming through. And most of that is thanks to Galvant.
And how does Galvant keep the peace?
Well, having a nice lawn isn't his only talent.
Well, his lawn tried to eat my shoes.
Well, that is one of his other talents.
It's not... And he looks down at someone else's plate. It's not something that he puts in the food, is it?
Oh, no. No, they're not fertilized. No.
They don't help grow your mushrooms?
No.
Troublemakers? No?
Goodness, no. No, of course not. He is resourceful, Galvant, and he can stand on his own. And he makes sure that there is no delinquency from the traders and travelers.
I can tell that he is a seasoned professional.
He is, yes. He is. He's seen a few things in his time. Is what he says. Obviously, he came here with enough coin to build that house. So I imagine whatever he did before here was fairly lucrative.
And he keeps the peace.
He does.
In his bathrobe?
You saw him in his bathrobe?
Yes, ma'am.
She, like, puts an elbow across the table and, like, leans in. What was that like?
It was an experience.
Oh, really? You can
Yes,
tell,
ma'am.
as the mouthpiece of the group, she is intrigued about his nighttime clothing choices, or lack thereof. And what pray tell, how did that go?
It didn't go well. I was trying to purchase things from him. He wasn't happy with that. His lawn tried to eat my shoes. But he let us leave without too much trouble.
Did it look soft, the bathrobe?
I am not the best with fabric. I'd have to ask my companion. He knows all about fabrics.
Was your companion also there for the bathrobe?
He wasn't at the door, but he was there. He saw it. It was very fancy.
Was it closed?
I believe so. But I was talking to him. I wasn't really paying much attention to his bathrobe.
Excuse me. Was there anything else that you might need that I could help you with?
Well, other than knowing who I should deliver a message to.
Right.
Maybe-
The
maybe
message.
Galvin
The
will
message.
know.
Galvin. Yes. And I apologize. I was distracted. Yes, a message that you delivered to from the chapter house.
It might be Galvin's. I don't know.
It could be. Perhaps you should. Perhaps I could escort you back over there.
Maybe that might be helpful for him to see a friendly face. It
Right.
might stop his lawn eating my shoes again.
And he would still be in that bathrobe.
More than likely. I don't think he would have changed.
I couldn't imagine why he would. I can't for the life of me think of who would have relations with the chapter house. But if I think of someone, or if I speak to Galvin, I will let you know. In the meantime, your friend, and she points over your shoulder to Seydlitz, he overpaid me. And she reaches down, and you hear her rummaging around in coins, and she slides a coin, which is not a star, a moon, a sliver. It is like a round coin that has a monetary marking on it. And I would like you to make me a roll. This is an intelligence, difficulty 4, and knowledge of divinity applies here.
Knowledge of godly beings.
That's the one.
Okay. And you said difficulty 4.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
critical success.
Okay.
Ish.
So, here's what we're going to do here on this minor critical effect. For the minor effect, I'm going to let you describe what you see here. This coin is a marker. It identifies a person as an adherent. What symbol is on the back of this coin, and what does it represent?
Oh, now you've got me. I would say it's probably the one that Korax has.
The same.
So Korax is always wearing, quite boldly buckled to his chest, a raven, which for his family and the people around him, it's about good fortune that the gods or the old gods are watching over you, that are watching what's happening and ensuring that nothing bad shall happen in the area, and that you are safe.
Okay. You know that there are small pockets of adherents scattered all around places, like cells almost. And she slides this coin across the table to you, and sort of like takes her fingers off it. Says, "Is he overpaid?"
He picks up the coin like ever so slightly and flips it over flips it back over to sort of hide the markings. I shall return his change.
Thank you. And if there's anything else you would need, please let me know.
No, you've helped us enough. You've provided us room and boarding and food.
Well
I
then,
can only thank you.
if you should need an escort to Galvin's house, please let me know.
I may do. Probably a little bit later.
All right. Enjoy your evening.
And he sort of bows to her.
You bow, and she kind of like gives you a nod, and you see her like wipe a little bit of sweat, and then she begins to clean behind the bar.
Korax walks back to the table, sits down. She doesn't know who we need to see, but the fancy man, I have a name for him. It's Galvin. He protects the town, but we are safe here. We are definitely safe.
Well then, I suggest that Stephanie and the child retire. You can wait down here for Galvin to appear if you wish. I'm going with her.
Dreshin gets up with you, Mina, and he follows you and Stephanie and Arua to the upstairs where the rooms are. Korax, Seydlitz, do you say anything as they depart the table, or are you just letting them kind of go off on their own?
Korax would just look to Mina. Be safe.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Mina will nod. And if any of you any of you might have noticed that in the bottom of his mug, there's a grainy substance in the drink.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. So you head up to the room. Seydlitz, Korax, you are left at the table alone. Seydlitz, I assume you are kind of swilling around the shitty beer that you have. What are you two
He didn't
doing?
drink it. It's crappy beer. He doesn't want it.
That's fair. It's a Molson High Life. So what are you two doing at the table?
Well, we're safe. What did she want to know anyway? You seem to get into quite a bit of conversation over there.
Oh, she was just asking about my conversation with Gelfand, the man with the shoe-eating grass.
I have a feeling there's a little bit more to that.
She was just interested in, like, the fabric of his clothing. She had an interest.
Interest in the fabric of his clothing.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. She was just asking questions about his clothes.
I think she may have interest in the man in particular.
I don't know. Potentially. He's a fancy man, so...
Oh well. Anything else?
I may need to go and see him again. She said she would take me.
You need a tag along, or are you gonna go it alone?
Well, he may come here, so I'm going to wait here for a while. If he appears, then great. If he doesn't, might take a walk down. From what she was saying, he keeps the peace. There's no fighting here. I don't know how. She said it's not the food. And he looks at the ale or the drink. But he does something that keeps peace. There's no fighting in the taverns. And in these sort of places, there's generally going to be a fight.
Well, if I had to do this off the top of my head, I think it might have something to do with the magical shoe-eating moss.
It could very well be. Could be releasing something into the air.
Or there could be something under that moss more than just people's shoes.
Oh, I'm sure there's people in there.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
I mean, if someone causes trouble, they might get thrown into the grass and it just eats them. But she said he was a good man. And I trust her. I know Mina has very little trust for people. I mean, you're pretty grumpy yourself, but this is one of those people I know we can trust.
Well, if you think you can trust them, then keep their trust. And if you gotta talk to the plant man, don't make it so we have to wake up and try to keep one of us from getting turned into plant fertilizer.
I can try? He just smiles at Seydlitz. But
Well,
she said
I'm
he's a
going
good
to
man.
retire for the night. Check out this room. Hopefully this bed is at least halfway decent.
Looking at the house, does it look like it should be a decent room?
It should be a decent room. Yeah. Like this is there's like two, like she said that she had mentioned that there were 2 taverns or 2 inns in this town. And this is like it's the major road from Samora to Corso. So traders and travelers pass through all the time, and when traders pass through a town, there's sometimes money to be thrown around, especially in the tavern business. So more than likely there's some cash flow coming into here that they can afford to have nice beds for their nicer customers. So yeah, you can assume it is a nicer bed, especially in comparison to the stone wall that Seydlitz slept against the night previous.
The bed is made of mushrooms.
Yes. The whole tavern, the village, it's not actually shingled roofs, it's all mushrooms.
We're in a Smurf village.
You are in a Smurf village, yeah. Everything's made out of mushrooms. It's just one big mushroom that you all live in. And
Galvin sounds similar to Gargamel.
And so. Galvin is Gargamel. Yeah, so Seydlitz, you kind of head off upstairs to the second room, leaving Korax alone. Korax, what are you doing to pass the time?
Korax is going to look at his books.
Okay.
Not the Book of Fate. That is one that he only pulls out in absolute private.
Sure.
He would probably move himself to one of the corners. As soon as a table in the corner frees up, he would go and sit in the corner facing the door and start looking at his books. He's got time to kill, so he would probably start to look at the one that he stole from the bibliomancer as the first time to actually stop and look at it.
Yeah.
And then just every now and then look up at the door and see if anyone new appears.
Okay. Yeah, so people are popping in and out left and right. Like I said, it is a travel town. They're coming and going through this place, but no one is matching the bathrobed description of Galvin. You do notice that as the what makes for the night draws on, the patronage gets slimmer and slower, and eventually you see the woman behind the bar, of which you do not know her name. You see her sort of issuing people out, as in she is closing the shop. Obviously, you have a room here, so that would be you wouldn't get kicked out. You'd be kind of, she'd be like, all right, well, we're closing down this area. Obviously, there'd be no food, no drink, that kind of thing. The kitchens would be locked up. And you can hear that. There's a few other people here that are staying here as well. A few others are just passing through. And she makes a lap around, and then she stops at your table, and she kind of places a hand down on, places one hand on the table, and the other hand is has the bar rag, and she's kind of wiping her table. She says, "So, your friends have left for the night. What are you still doing here?" You're muted.
I'm muted. He would pull the coin out that she gave him and place it onto the table and says, just have to pay for my final drink from the evening. And pass in the time in case my bathrobed friend comes to visit. He did say he might pop in if he has anything to sell.
I don't imagine that he will. But you know what? Perhaps I do. perhaps if you take a look around, there may be something I would be willing to part with. And she takes the coin, and she, like, tucks it. And she says, if you would follow me.
He would close up his book and just tuck it into one of his inside pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And stand to follow.
Yeah, she smiles, and she walks behind the bar and into what you can only assume to be the kitchen area here. And then through the kitchen, which is a relatively small kitchen, you see there's another door, and she walks through the other door. And you find yourself in like a small room. It's maybe like 3 foot by 3 foot. It's like a closet, basically, right? And you guys are kind of in there. And she closes the door behind you, and then she opens the door. And the door opens into a completely different room that is not the kitchen. And she says, after you.
He stops to look to her. I'm guessing it wasn't a man I was supposed to see here. And he walks through the door.
It may yet have been. And you walk into the door. She follows you. The door click-clacks behind you. And you see a small stone room. This room is probably 10 by 10. You notice that there is the same symbol that's on the back of the coin is etched into the ground. There's a circular symbol with the raven kind of outstretched. And you see that there are candelabras in all 4 corners, and there is a sort of like a small shrine against the back wall. You would identify this as a temple. This is a small temple. It looks as though your best guess is that she is, and there may be others in the town, an adherent. And so this is their communal meeting place. And you see that there are 2 people knelt in front of the shrine. And as the door click-clacks closed, one of them stands and removes the hood, and you see that gray hair that kind of goes back wavy to the nape of the neck. And he turns around and he says, well, fancy seeing you here. And Galvant stands before you in the shrine. And that is where we end this episode of The Rise, called Not Alone.
Well, shit.
Yeah. So, you guys
you have been ambushed, sir.
You guys met some interesting people today, I think. That's going to be cool. That's going to be fun. I also really appreciate the fact that, like, Mina was acting suspicious and Korax was like, we'll find someone that we can trust in town, and then completely lies about the fact that he knows adherent stuff. No one's Seydlitz is the most trustworthy person in the group, and he just wants to go home.
People that?
And he just wants to go home. Let's go around, do our outros, get the heck out of here so we can do our Patreon after show. If you guys want access to the after show to hear these players' thoughts on the episode, join us over on Patreon. Link for that down below. While you're there, hit up that link to Discord. Join us over there. But for now, we'll start with Necro. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
I am Chris, aka Necro. You can find me in the Discord. I'm not as active as I normally am, but we'll get there. Other than that, that's the only place. Up to nothing, just this. And then next week is Patreon one-shots.
It is. Next week is one-shots. We just got to figure out when they are. We'll go over to DE. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I'm Matt, aka D, or D, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Everybody's different. You'll find me in Mike's Discord, around Twitch, and various channels watching crap during work nights.
Perfect.
And on YouTube, sometimes.
Hell yeah. And last but not least, Snow, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I'm Norm, or Snowdogs, and you can normally not find me lurking around because I'm lurking on the Discord.
Perfect. Just being a creep. As always, guys, if you are watching this over on YouTube, you can join us here on the weekend. It's definitely on the weekend. Our schedule's in flux right now, but you can join us over on Twitch live at twitch.tv/unMadeGaming. But for now, we will see you all next month for more of The Rise. So from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.